Welcome to the weekly live show. Apologies for it being a couple of minutes late starting. My eyes have been watering super bad today, and I was trying to get them to stop before we got started. But we're going to roll with it because we are here and it is time. And today we're going to be talking about some of the things that get discussed a lot out in the media. And there's a couple of phrases that get thrown around that are pet peeves of mine. And I want to talk to you about why these are actually dangerous for you to be using and what that means for your leadership when you find yourself using these terms. Okay. And a couple of the terms are toxic masculinity and toxic positivity. Now, why are those bad? That's what we're going to get into. I am Angela W. Stillwell. I am the founder and CEO of Untapped Strengths, and I work with individuals to transform them into top 1% leaders and teams into powerhouses. And you can get more information about what's going on with me and some of the things that you might be interested in at my Linktree. You can see it on the screen just below me here. Linktree/AW Stillwell. That's linktr.ee/AWSTILLWELL. All right, so let's dive in. Why are these terms bad for you to be using? What does this mean for you when you're falling into using language like this? You know, the idea of toxic positivity, toxic masculinity was thrown out a few years ago. In fact, there was you may remember Gillette. I believe it was Gillette did an ad talking about how they were against toxic masculinity. And now one of the phrases that keeps getting thrown around, and there's other phrases. These are just the two that are coming to mind right now: toxic positivity. And people are like, oh, somebody who's always positive, it's toxic, it's blah, 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 blah. No. I want to talk about how this actually impacts you when you fall into using language like this. And I can't think off the top of my head of other phrases like this. But when you use a phrase like toxic positivity, you're putting a negative word with a positive word, which is negating the positive aspect of that word. Okay. Masculinity is not something negative. Are there toxic men? Yes, there are also toxic women. Masculinity in and of itself is not toxic. Okay. Positivity in and of itself is not toxic. When we allow ourselves to start thinking and using that type of terminology, it shifts how we look at certain things, how we perceive certain things. If you use the phrase toxic masculinity over and over and over again, you start thinking that masculinity as a whole, your brain, your subconscious brain. Now, you may argue it consciously. Your subconscious brain, however, has a mind of its own. That sounds kind of goofy to say that, right? Because we know that our subconscious brain operates on its own, because it does. It absolutely operates on its own. It gets programmed from moment one. In fact, the first 7 years of your life, all you're doing is being a sponge. You are just receiving from everyone around you. You're not creating your own decisions and thoughts. Your prefrontal cortex has not started forming, and it's definitely not complete until you are in your mid 20s. Okay, so that's your cognitive functioning part of your brain, where you're able to make decisions in a more decisive way. That doesn't happen until you're in your mid 20s. So as a kid, all you're doing is receiving all of these beliefs and thoughts and ideas from the people around you. And yes, you make some things your own, because kids are very creative, right? They're playing and they're doing whatever. So they're creating things. However, they are doing that based on what they're receiving. They haven't started being able to do a lot of critical thinking on their own. All right. So when you take on terminology like toxic masculinity or toxic positivity, it's the same thing. It's forming parts of your brain and parts of your thought process. Okay. Now, there's a lot of talk about what a toxic positivity environment in a workplace might look like and what that might mean to you. And people talk about toxic positivity online. And yes, there are people who walk around with their heads in the clouds and they're not really paying attention to what's going on around them. They're not being realistic. However, studies have shown that people who are positive, who actually choose to have joy, choose to be joyful, right? When you choose joy, when you choose positivity, consciously choose positivity, and you make that part of your way of being regularly, it actually improves your overall health, mentally, physically, emotionally. Studies have already shown this. Okay. So the point of today is just to get you to think about anytime you hear terminology like toxic positivity, toxic masculinity, and I'm sure there are 1,000 other words, phrases that are out there that drive me crazy and probably drive you crazy too. In fact, let me know what some of those phrases are that you hear. Put those in the comments. I would love to see and let you know what my thoughts are about it, right? Maybe I'll do some future lives, weekly lives around more of it. Here's the thing. When you are in an environment that is toxic, the environment is toxic, not the positivity, okay? Some places there is a toxic environment. Sometimes there are toxic people in an environment. All right. And in that situation, you get to use your power skills. You get to use your skills of communication. You get to use your skills of having difficult conversations. You get to use your skills of having empathy. You get to use your skills of resiliency and adaptability, etc. Right? My main point today is I want you to make sure that you are using your own thoughts to create your own positive mental attitude. And you can do that regardless of what is going on in your life. Yes, you may be in a situation that you are not enjoying, right? It may be a job that you just really don't like. You still get to choose to be joyful. You may not like the job, and yet you can still be joyful. You may not care for the people around you, and yet you can still be joyful. And I bring all of this up. It's important that you surround yourself with people with a community of people who are like-minded, right? Who have similar, not necessarily the same, but they have similar goals. They have a similar desire to improve their personal development. They have a similar desire to continue growing, a growth mindset as opposed to a fixed mindset, as Carol Dweck talks about in her books. So it's so important that, and you get to choose these people, right? You get to choose these people. And often, in fact, more often than not, those people aren't necessarily in our household. They're not in our community. They're not in our family. We get to choose these people. Often, we pay to be a part of a group. I go to masterminds. I'm in different memberships. I'm in all sorts of different things so that I can surround myself with people who allow me to continue to grow, who allow for me to have that positive mindset. And I'm in the process of creating a community like that. And you guys, I'm so excited about it. I've mentioned it a couple of times during the weekly lives. And if you are interested in being a part of something where we really lean into our own leadership, our own personal leadership, right? Because if we can't lead ourselves, we can't lead anybody else. And most of you who follow me, I know that being able to step into your leadership is of utmost importance. What's going to happen is every month there'll be a short training, and there'll be a couple of calls every month to do Q&A and see what's going on, be able to do a little bit of hot seat coaching. So if it's something that you're interested in, and you guys, I'm doing a national founding member program between now and the end of the year. So if this is something that you might be interested in getting more details on, put that's me in the comments, or just put me in the comments, and we will get back with you with more information. We'll put you on the wait list and let you know when more details come out about the program. So I can't wait to see you in there. Or you can send me a DM, right? You can send me a DM. This is going out on LinkedIn and on YouTube and Facebook and maybe a couple of other places. So you send me a DM on whichever platform is your most favorite platform, and you can find all of my my handles, social media handles, are on my link tree. So if you go there, you can find me on any platform and send me a DM and just say, you want info on this community I'm building. All right. I can't wait to see you. I can't wait to see your comments. Let me know what you think about this concept of toxic positivity, toxic masculinity, and other phrases that are getting thrown around these days that I believe are really negatively impacting how we are seeing things that are actually good. They're negatively impacting things that are actually good. So let me know what you think about that. I can't wait to hear from you. Have a great remainder of your week, and I will see you again next week. Thanks. See ya.